for maybe a year or so, I've been investigating what they call as a camera with a gimbal, or these 360 cameras, and I've been trying to figure out which one I need, so when I'm moving around and doing my artwork, it actually follows me. And tonight I did something unique. I got my own personal gimbal, and he's a very good video man and shoots for a lot of the live shows, and he's going back to work next week because the what's that union called? Is
Local 52.
yeah, Local 52. The movie makers, or SAG, and what is the other group? AFTRA.
SAG-AFTRA.
SAG-AFTRA. The strike is over,
Right.
so he'll be gainfully employed. So I want to show you my gimbal here. So there's my gimbal, Mr. Boris Cifuentes. And Boris, what have you shot? The project? What are you working on now?
I'm working on Law and Order.
Great, great.
Yes, the TV show, the infamous television show.
Great, great.
Gonna take a sip of my drink here.
Yeah, yeah. And Boris is a good employee. So
Yeah.
to keep him working, I only have to give him a bottle of,
Yeah.
or not a bottle, but a taste of some very fine Armenian brandy right there, aged 7 years. So it's one of Boris's favorites. I've educated him on that. So let me hand this back to you, Boris. You are my gimbal, not to be confused with the GIMP. There you go, man.
All right.
So what I wanted to show tonight is sort of an overlapping discussion you keep seeing in my videos that I'm having regarding my work, but the one that's always apparent is, how do I know when my work is finished, or how should I gauge how much I should be working, what I should leave alone, what my next process should be. So I always remember the phrase. I don't know how many people remember it. It was the movie Michelangelo. Charlton Heston played Michelangelo, and the Pope at that time. And when the movie, I don't know who it was. It could have been Peter O'Toole. He'd come in every day to the Sistine Chapel, and Michelangelo's up near the roof painting, and he'd yell up to him, the Pope. It was Pope Julius II. And he'd yell up to him, he'd say, "Buonarroti, when will you be finished?" And then he'd look over the painting scaffolding, and he'd say, "Oh, when I'm done." And then the Pope would come back the next day getting more frustrated. So in this movie, I do recall a couple times Michelangelo would knock his paint bucket off the scaffolding, and it would fall down, get paint all over the Pope, and then he would storm off kind of angry. So that is the question. The main question is, when will you be finished? And that's something every artist has to ask of themselves. But this is a piece I've had worked on maybe a year and a half ago, and I just had it around the studio. I keep moving it around. I keep wanting to work on it, but I don't have any impetus to do much to it. And I just enjoy the piece for its merits. It's what I'm realizing is it could be done. You don't have to do a large amount of work like you're crushing stones to make your work feel valuable enough that you've done so much to it that it's reached its finite end. Probably the simplest, quickest arrivals at a solution visually possibly is all you really need. And as you can tell here, what I do, and what I've coined a phrase, I think, of my work, the work I do tends to be a hybrid between drawing and painting. And if you look at this surface, you will see my marks. These marks are actually all drawn in by hand. And then there's a base layer, the very first base layer here, where I have created a patina and I've toned the white canvas, but I'll let that come through and then I'll let my design gradually sit on top of it. What I do at that phase though, when I've created that base patina and created some of this say architectural line going on, or the forms and the shapes and the line work, I will then take a house brush. This is like a house painting brush. Something, you know, it could be bigger or it could be this size. I like it because it leaves a coarse stroke. And what I will do then is I will get an acrylic. Oh, here it is, right here. I will use an acrylic. That's wrong. That's gesso. I have it right here. I'll use an acrylic matte varnish. So I will freeze that base layer. This is what it looks like. I use a Liquitex acrylic matte varnish. So I will freeze this base layer and let that get bone dry so I can work on that, on top of that, with oil pastels and oil bars, which will adhere to the dried acrylic. And that's the proper way to work with an acrylic and an oil together. The acrylic should always be your base layer where it's bone dry, and then you can start to apply your oil mediums on top of that. And to see something in a little more advanced stage, when I'm talking about the brush stroke, it creates a pseudo type of painterly effect. So if you come right in here close, you will see how the brush stroke leaves ridges and starts to tone and score the surface that I'm working on. And then when I work on top with an oil medium, once those acrylic brush strokes dry, it starts to leave a painterly effect. Yet this whole piece I've never really touched added color by brush. So it's a really unique technique. I'm starting to show it in various videos step by step, but one day I'll show it on a smaller piece from the beginning to end. I think I had a video last week that I showed how I start to freeze a piece of artwork with a fixative, and it's an oil pastel fixative. And once I freeze that layer, I'm also able to add these brush strokes. So to keep that in mind, you have a lot of different ways to go in the early stages of a painting. And I call them paintings. They could be drawings. I don't really apply paint from a tube. Maybe on that base layer there's paint from a tube. But to me, they're just huge drawings, and I love that feeling of drawing. And I think it comes from years of being an illustrator and graphic designer, and when we used to work on tissue paper or vellum to create our concepts and ideas. And it's a skill that never really leaves me, and it's one that once I started, it's like an addiction. You just want to keep drawing. But I'm realizing I have to hold those horses back and realize when just leave the work alone, stop. But what I do at this phase when I'm really done, I probably start focusing only and more upon luminosity, because in the end the luminosity really entraps a viewer. And I call this preternatural light. It's light coming from a source that's not really known. These shapes I call preternatorum. It's a Latin. I like these two Latin phrases. Preternatorum means before nature. So these are like portals to another world, which I'm trying to bring out by the design and the light, and then the tension of all this architecture going on. I call it architecture because it looks like structures, but at the same time, it could be biological, it could be anthropomorphic, but they're shapes that they're structural. And I just love trying to make them work and balance. I'm constantly working with a notion of balance and force and light throughout all of these. Of course, this is a subject matter you'll see in my other videos, and it's one I keep investigating. And the more that I understand what's going on here, I think in my head is developing a kind of a curriculum, that I could give classes probably in 6 or 7 sessions, teaching how I get to these phases and teaching how I bring these to finished pieces and using mediums that create the pseudo effect of a painting. Given the cost of a tube of paint today, I think it's a great ability and technique to have. And I'll just dive in here a little bit and show you what I mean by luminosity and how I work with it. Let me find my glasses. I can't find my glasses, so oh, here they are. So I'll just start working. So you'll see different areas, and I kind of divide my colors up. I keep the hot and warms on one side and the cool colors on another side, so I can get access to them real easy. I have boxes of different kind of color sources, but what I'm looking for is where I can bring out nuance. And I'll maybe go in here to an area and I'll see something underneath here, very faint, and I want to create some form of interest or attraction. But I see two lines in here forming like a channel, and I'll just go in there and hit it as a hint to bring out a highlight, and then I might go back in there and heat up that highlight. So these look like some form of energy shooting through this little space. I've done it here, you can see here, and I can bring it out or I can knock it back. And I'm always using my fingers on here, and if I don't like something, I can even use a rag to wipe stuff out on here. And then I will kind of juxtapose warm and cool colors next to each other, because they create a lot of vibration. So as you see right here, we have a lot of cool color, but I'll go in here and just hit underneath this belly with a little orange, and that changes the whole feel of where this is going. And I might even get a hotter zone in there. So that starts to come back, go forward, come back. It starts to light up like it's automatically lit. There's another source of light in there. So, and that's constantly what I'm pushing for. And you can see here what I'm laying out, and I'm careful not to fill solid forms. I don't like solid areas of color. I like color variegating. I like it to minimize the border. I like it to hide the border. I like it to hide a line work. For instance, there's line work right here, and I've got it hidden, obscured a little bit, but I want to obscure it a little more. So I'll go right in here and go over that line, and then I'll create a little shelf here, and then I'll go back in, just rub out that light. And what's nice, I always have residue on the end of my finger of the last color I use. So that last color gets merged with the current color, and it creates a nice warm effect. So I'm still going to work in here. I want to hide that some more. I want to bring this little corner out, and you can see how easy it is. And this is actually the period my works for me are the most fun, because I'm putting pure icing on the cake. So I hope you all enjoyed this. See the rest of my videos at Armin Could Join Art on YouTube, and this I will be posting in the general order of all my videos, so you'll get to see this. And come back soon.